Oh, my. I've never seen so many monstrous creatures in one world, in one place at the same time. I mean, practically all at once. Oh, they were ugly, mean, grotesque things, and they'd stop at nothing. Nothing at all to create havoc and dismay. But this is a magic place. And in this fantasy world, there's every creature your imagination ever feared. But there's every power you could dream of having, and most any character you might wish to become. There's every adventure you could possibly embark upon. This magic place is my world. Me. Morley the Wizard. It's the Greyhawk world of Advanced Dungeons & Dragons Adventures, or AD&D games. And throughout the next hour, we're going to take you through an adventure recreated from an actual AD&D game, that popular pastime from TSR Hobbies. So, don't leave our Greyhawk world. Welcome, welcome to the imaginary land of Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. Before entering Greyhawk's world of AD&D adventures, you need to understand how the game is basically played and how characters are developed. The leader, the playwright, so to speak, is a dungeon master, and he or she must be clever as a wizard. You see, this person coordinates all the action by leading the group of players through their perilous journey. This one individual, the dungeon master, uses a scenario he created, or a scenario from any one of many pre-packaged modules. These modules are like maps that only the dungeon master sees, and they are complete with various tables giving descriptions of imaginary lands and numerous monsters and situations. Picture what I mean? Most of the time, the dungeon master has to rely on these dice, special dragon dice. They are coordinated with tables in the modules, and they often decide the results of many situations, including combat and encounters. What the wizardly dungeon master does is describes the physical territory his party of players encounter, and then he must play the part of every person or creature they find. And then he allows the players to choose their course of action. But even though the dungeon master knows the land and monsters, not even he knows what his players will do, because that is left up to the player's imagination and how they become one with their characters while playing the game. And what a bunch of characters indeed! Each player can become a human, an elf, dwarf, gnome, or others, and become a fighting man, magic user, cleric, or thief, or any one of any number of characters. Now, once the player makes a choice, his character's personality and strengths and weaknesses are determined by rolling of the dice, while the dungeon master watches. The 6 basic abilities are strength, intelligence, wisdom, dexterity, constitution, and charisma. Let's say, for example, a player decides to be a thief, and we're going to roll for dexterity. Yes, I see by his score of 17, our thief just acquired a high dexterity level. Oh, very, very good for a thief. Now let's try his intelligence. Oh, my. He just obtained a low intelligence score of 4. Oh, well, what we have is a thief with high dexterity and the intelligence of an earthworm. Still, no matter what each character comes up with throughout the adventure, players will have many opportunities to gain points that will increase adventuring skills, or, heaven forbid, destroy them. Oh, my, let's not even think of it. But let's meet with the characters in tonight's cast. Our dungeon master, Bren, Ruth, Ears, and Ardale.
We barely got out of that mess alive, didn't we? Were it not for your holy water, Ruth, the Wraith, that shadowy, loathsome creature, would have destroyed us.
Indeed, it was wisdom, a wise choice. And Ears, how are you?
Oh, I knew all the time would be okay. I think.
Didn't I just hear a friendly sound?
Oh, my. You all sound so tired and fatigued.
Fatigued, did you say? Why, Morley, we're ready to step into our next adventure.
Oh, good. Then, Tell everyone who you are.
Hi, I'm Lovable Rin. I'm an elf. But I'm a tough elf because in the Advanced Dungeons and Dragons adventure, I'm also a fighter. Intelligence, dexterity, and strength are all part of my nature, blended brilliantly with a wonderful, wonderful sense of humor.
Ren, of course, is modest, too, as you can tell. But it's true. He's lovable just like me. Ears. I'm a half-elf ranger, which is a type of fighter, and I have great intuitive powers, which often keeps us out of trouble. I can tell truly when something doesn't feel right, so I'm very hard to surprise. And I'm very valuable to most any adventure.
Well, we're all important, Ears. Consider my quick thinking ability, and my remarkable constitution, and my dexterity. Very important for a thief like me, Ardale. And really, Ran, we all have a sense of humor. Some of us are just a bit more sophisticated, however.
Now. We all have special blessings.
Ruth would say blessings, and she is a cleric.
And therefore mine are mostly of a healing nature. I'm wise and gentle, and I love my companions very, very much.
Now that you've met our players, well, let's begin our adventure into an imaginary land where monsters roam free and magic exists, where good and evil battle and law and chaos are forever at odds. Dungeon Master?
Thank you, Morley. Now, Ren, Ruth, Ears, and Ardale, you are companions and find each other attractive and compatible, and have done a good bit of traveling with each other in the past. Though not the lowliest of adventurers, indeed, you are also not the highest, but one of a throng of maybe 50 to 100 of your ilk about the world, and scattered among a variety of different towns and whatnot. You have many contacts, of course. You know a few influential people and a lot of slum types that you met on your way up.
Slum types. Those are peers.
On one dark and stormy night, sitting around the local inn, relaxing and congratulating yourself for not having to be out in the damp, a note is brought by a dripping messenger who does not wait for a reply. He goes dashing back out into the downpour, accompanied by a crash of thunder and lightning. You look at the note, and it is a simple, one-word message that says, "Come," and is signed with a rune you don't recognize immediately, but then suddenly realize it belongs to the assistant mayor of the town, a fellow whom you met a couple of months ago in somewhat unsavory circumstances, but to whom you ended up owing a favor.
Did we vote for him in the last election?
Probably not. In any event, you can go to him immediately, or you can wait for the next morning when it's more to your convenience to see what he wants.
How big is the favor we owe him? Do we really have to see him?
It's a sizable favor. He had two of you revived at the end of the last affair.
But only after I begged him.
Well, do we want to go out in the rain or not?
Well, I don't mind. What's a little water? Besides, I haven't had a bath for a while.
Well, I'm not staying alone.
So you dash over to his place near the town hall. It's not that far away, but you do get fairly soaked on the way over. The thunder and lightning and winds have passed, and it's now just a good downpour.
Druid's doings?
Very possibly. You, Ardale, notice an oddly familiar figure from a nearby alley watching your passage across the street. He's wearing a distinctive little peaked hat, but you don't say anything about it immediately.
Peaked, eh?
Yes, and oddly disturbing. You think you've seen it somewhere before, but you're really not sure. Anyway, you dash to this official's private house, and when you arrive, you're ushered in somewhat disdainfully by the servant and left dripping in the outer hallway. In the past couple of minutes, you've dried up a bit, and out comes the gentleman you're waiting to see. He says,
Greetings, my friends. I see you could all make it. Excellent. Why don't you come into my private study?
and he offers the way. He offers you fine chairs to sit in, apparently unmindful of your current state. And he says,
An unusual occurrence has come my way, and I need your help. There is a friend of mine that I left somewhere due to unfortunate circumstance when we were off adventuring a couple of years back.
2 years?
Well, I have not had occasion really to think of him since, so His plight somehow passed from my memory. Recently, though, events have come to light which require his assistance. I can give you directions to the place where he is currently, and also equip you in ways to free him and bring him back.
Quincy, will that be quits then? Will we have paid our debt to you?
Well, if you insist.
It's always good to shake on it. But can I ask a few questions?
Oh, surely.
On what relations did you and your old friend part company?
Well, it was rather unexpected on his part.
I see. Would he be only too happy to return and join forces with you?
Oh, I'm sure. If he were aware of the problem.
What should we tell him beckons?
Well, I'll give you a message for him. I'll jot it down. Now, I'll tell you the story and give you a map and a powerful, magical scroll.
What is this Quincy, the assistant mayor, up to? And what became of his lost friend? Where exactly will the map take our adventurers? Oh, my. Our adventurers have learned that the man they are seeking is trapped in a dangerous cave. The mysterious gentleman has been rather vague about events responsible for his friend's entrapment. He did say, however, that they had battled strange creatures at the top of one of the mountains in the chain leading up to North Ending. The group discovers that the dangerous caves are actually in one peak called Vulture's Spike, deriving its name from circling vultures. Our characters agree to take on the assignment as long as they are freed from their debt to this gentleman. He equips them with a map and a powerful magic scroll. They shake hands on it, and our light-fingered thief, Ardale, does so quite eagerly, cleverly slipping an official signet ring from the gentleman's finger. After a good night's sleep at the inn, our group prepares for the 3 or 4 day trip. The dungeon master has just rolled the dice to determine what adventure lies ahead for Wren, Ears, Ruth, and Ardale.
You sight trees nearby where you're riding along, and there appears to be some spider webbing in their branches. It's well ahead, though.
Spider silk sells high in the market.
Ooh, but I hate bugs.
Well, there doesn't appear to be any danger, though. I see no sign of those fuzzy little creatures, and spider silk does sell high in the market.
Shall we avoid it?
Avoid it.
Aw, you guys are no fun.
Do you avoid the spidery nest?
Yeah, at all costs.
So, you cut off into the woods and circle.
Hold it. Wait a minute, guys. Now watch out for this. This could be just a trap to lead us off the main path to another trap that's hidden.
Should I be mapping this?
In all Dungeons and Dragons games, though the dungeon master has an overall view in his scenario, one member of the expedition usually maps their progress on graph paper. This way, if a clue is missed, a blind alley encountered, or obstacles discovered which prove impossible to overcome, the adventurers have a map to retrace their steps. In this case, Ardale and Wren tell Ears it isn't necessary to map their journey so far, because they seem to feel they've been this way many times before. That is, to North Ending. Fortunately, they encounter no danger throughout the 2nd day and evening, but by the 3rd day, they are approaching the mountains, and the weather is becoming progressively worse.
Your horses are progressing upwards, and you're keeping your heads down against the driving rain.
Not me. I'm looking proudly on. It's part of my nature.
Suddenly, there is an odd, bat-like bird sitting on Ears' horse's rump.
Oh, no! I swat the thing with the flat of my sword.
Sure enough, there are more in the air.
Let us gallop forward if we dare.
I will pull my cloak tight about me and ride and spur my horse on. Ruth, what's the matter with your horse? It seems he doesn't want to respond.
Your horse, Ruth, is jumping a bit, and you find it hard to hold on, even with your tremendous dexterity.
I will ride around back instead of trying to control this beast and help my friend by swatting the ugly scourge with my warhammer.
These are blood-sucking creatures, aren't they?
Can I use my magic sword and let it flame? Can I swing it around without hitting anyone?
Yes. So the ranger says...
Flame on!
And suddenly the area is lit by the flaming light, and in the light of the sword and the driving rain, you see indeed there are 5 of these strange bat-winged birds.
The flame doesn't scare them.
Not yet.
The battle continues until the rain stops and the field is rather quiet. After the battle, our group is left with 5 live sleeping Sturges because of the spell cast by Wren. Wren slays 4 of them, leaving 1 alive.
This welt on my leg!
I'm bandaging the wound and saying a liturgy of healing over his body. Oh, don't worry, friends. I can pray for more magic this evening and again in the morning.
I have an idea, friends. We're given this message for the mayor's friend, but it seems we're going through all of this turmoil without knowing for sure what this message says, or that it isn't a trap of sorts. Now, I just happened to acquire a certain official signet ring, which will allow us to replace the seal on the letter. Don't you think it would be to our advantage to open up this letter and peruse it?
That's very clever. Do it without a second thought.
While they're doing that, I am quickly and meticulously, as is always my way, moving to put a muzzle on this Sturge.
With what?
Leather thongs for my pack, quickly and meticulously.
So, you tie up the beak of this Sturge, while dramatically the note gets cut, opened up, and the cleric seems to be laughing.
My friends, the Assistant Lord Mayor knows us well. Here is his message.
I figured you'd look. Well, this guy got turned into stone. He's easy enough to find. Tell him I need his help.
Friends, we're looking for a statue.
Oh, what's wrong with that? We've got a stone to flash scroll spell. I mean, don't you, Wren?
Of course I do. But you don't understand, Ears. What turns people into stone are many nasty creatures. Basilisks, medusas, gorgons, cockatrices, and all sorts of evil magics.
Perhaps we ought to polish our shields.
Good thinking, Ruth. A well-polished shield will indeed reflect the petrifying gaze of basilisks or medusas, turning them to stone instead of you.
Excellent. Now let's quickly and meticulously proceed on.
Well, what are we going to do with this trapped Sturge, for heaven's sake?
Oh, carry it for a while. I will try to tame it.
On that note, the Sturge wakes up.
Isn't it supposed to sleep for 8 hours? Well, I guess it wasn't.
Oh, yes! Now what are you going to do with that thing? I mean, where are you going to put it?
I'm going to hold it for a while as I ride on my horse, meticulously and carefully.
So all of you proceed for an hour or two, and twilight turns to dark.
Is it nighttime?
That's what usually happens when it gets dark. And you set up camp once again for the night, very cautiously.
Are we out of the trees?
You're out of the trees.
Oh, yay, no more trees.
In fact, within a mere hour or two of travel, if you wish to do it at night in this rugged terrain, which I doubt, is the very peak which you seek.
Not me. I don't want to travel any more today. In fact, I don't want to travel anywhere with that blasted bird. I don't like that bird.
So you set up for the night. Do you wish to take any specific action regarding the release of that bird?
Well, I think I just want to kill that bird.
Well, I'd keep an eye on the bird to make you feel easier about it, Ears, but I'm afraid I'll be consumed in my prayers.
Well, the bird is not a vastly entertaining show, either. Otherwise, I'd be glad to do it. I just don't have the strength in me.
Doesn't anyone like my bird?
Oh, we just have more important things to do, Red.
Like sleep, for example. But we will take turns keeping watch. Let's worry about what to do with that bird tomorrow, though. It's your idea about that thing, Wren, so you watch it first.
So in great need of sleep, our party takes turns alternating between sleep and watch duty, with the final leg of their journey before them. Throughout the next day, all goes along quietly until nightfall.
What?
Reverend, do something. Ruth, Red Ears.
Wren, this was your idea, keeping that thing. Do something.
An oversight for sure. Now, let me think of something meticulously and carefully.
There isn't time, Wren.
I'll use my sword. This time without the flame. Aha! I clipped one. Swing Wren to cut off his nose.
Look at that! Another one, sliced neatly in half.
Wren, use a first-level spell. Think for a moment and give it your best shot.
I'm trying. Trying again. Yes. I'll try another sleep spell.
Oh, no. Does that mean you're still going to keep one of them alive again? Oh, good gravy, Wren.
Sleep.
And so, once again, our party of brave, clever characters are ready to fall asleep. However, none of them sleep too comfortably. They're all keeping an eye on this bird Wren seems attached to, Unbeknownst to the group, a dark figure watches from the nearby woods. A figure with a peaked cap. Oh my, I think we'll see more of him later. What strange creatures are to be encountered at Vulture's Spike, if indeed there are any at all? And will they find a statue? We'll be right back for the second half of our Advanced Dungeons and Dragons adventure. Oh, my. I see our adventurers are about to wake up. In just a moment, we'll continue with the second half of our Advanced Dungeons and Dragons adventure. Welcome back to the second half of our Advanced Dungeons and Dragons adventure. After a frightful battle with blood-sucking scourges, Wren, Ruth, Ears, and Ardale have spent the night camped out just a few miles from their destination at Vulture's Spike. It was a fairly quiet night, and now our foursome is waking to a beautiful day.
Oh, in the fine morning, in the bracing atmosphere of these mountains, I will say my prayers so that I can do more magic.
And I'll prepare breakfast. Beans and biscuits.
Breakfast from Ardale. Well, hardship does purify the soul.
A cute comment from the good cleric Ruth. So, you set off as usual, somewhat looking forward to your adventures, and by mid-morning you uneventfully arrive near the base of the infamous Vulture's Spike.
Wait, we were 2 hours away. How come it's mid-morning?
That's what it is after you get up, do all your studying, pack, head off, resting the horses at appropriate intervals, and try to go up a mountain.
Ranger was slow again this morning. She's definitely not a morning person. By the way, I killed the bird. I hope you're very, very happy.
Oh, I'm so relieved. I really hated that thing.
Vulture Spike appears to live up to its name. A couple of dubious avian types are winging their way about its peak.
You mean vultures?
Possibly.
I'll take a long bow shot at one. Twang goes my arrow.
Unfortunately, they're still out of range.
Even from my long bow?
You fall short.
For heaven's sake, Wren, you shot an arrow into the air.
When trying to shoot the top of a mountain, it is not often successful.
Well, you said they were flying around.
Off the top of the peak.
Well, I guess that explains it.
While he's investigating the vulture, I'll be examining the mountainside to see if there might be a cave opening.
Eyeing the hillside suspiciously, you do find one opening. Wren decides to forget about the vultures in favor of exploring this cave.
We'll follow Wren, but I can't see. I'm human, not elf. I'm going to light a candle before I go in and put it in my little lantern.
Just as you're about to go deeper into the cave, Wren, you suddenly fall into a pit trap. What do you want to do? Do you have a spell?
Yes.
Okay, as you're falling into the pit and you're about to hit what looks like a very hard and very deep down floor, you say this magical phrase, feather fall, and suddenly become light as a feather, wafting your way down to the bottom.
Oh, so clever. But how are you going to get out now?
Yeah, I have good friends.
Yes, sure enough, you folks come on up and see that indeed, just a section of the floor caved away.
How far is it to the bottom? And our friend?
40 feet. Wren, you look around and find nothing in the pit at all.
Hi there, Wren. I'll pull you out with my rope while Ruth and Ears keep an eye out for monsters.
I'm quickly climbing up.
I'll fire up my bullseye lantern at this point.
As you climb the rope, the cleric lights the bullseye lantern. You successfully get out of the pit.
Get out and boogie.
I'd like my rope back, please.
Which way are you boogieing?
Into darkness. Follow me. Let's try this cave.
Why are we always just running into darkness with you, Wren?
Because I want to. It's part of my reckless nature.
But what happened to meticulously and carefully?
That's just one side of me.
Wren does get reckless from time to time.
He will die one day. This is why we were beholden to the mayor for 2 enormous favors.
Anyway, you go running into a passage which ends with a T intersection. Which way are you going, Wren?
To the right.
That was a quick decision. Are you sure?
One must think rapidly in a time like this.
If he thinks too hard, we'll really be in trouble.
You guys have no faith. None at all.
I beg your pardon.
Wren runs up and turns right.
Maybe we'd better wait here while he's running amok. I'll hold up my candle lantern to see which way the breeze is blowing. Ah, that means there will be a way out of here. Possibly.
You don't think he'd be dumb enough to fall into another pit, do you?
Now, let's do indeed have some faith. I'll follow him.
Oh, well.
Let's go.
Okay, the rest of you follow, but proceed at a normal pace, knowing how crazy Wren can be. And you begin to realize there are a large number of big lizards in here.
How many legs? What are they?
I can't tell how many legs yet. They look like basilisks to me.
Basilisks?
Oh, no!
You look around at these creatures, and there's a pool of water, and they all look at you and seem to hiss as lizards do. What do you want to do?
Yeah, I want to get out of here.
Do you turn around and run away?
Yes.
Where are we?
We're between him and freedom.
Great goose eggs. It's Basilisk City here. A whole room full of them.
Let's go the other way.
Yeah, but they'll be coming up behind us. We have to do something to stop them from chasing us.
They'll only chase us if they're hungry.
We're just gonna go the other way and get out of here.
Say, Elf, did you count their legs?
You kidding? I don't want to die.
Oh, that's true. Let's just get out of here.
In any event, you, Wren, saw them all, turned around, and ran out, rejoining the party.
Here I come. Did he count the legs? Did he even count the legs?
No.
But do they have more than a normal number of legs?
What does that mean?
Well, multi-legged creatures are...
Basilisks have 6 or 8.
Well, whatever those creatures are, they're not on our side.
Why didn't you take one of those with you like you did the bird?
No, there's an idea. I'd love to.
Oh, just kidding.
Now, no bickering, children. Let's just survive.
I'm sorry. Let's just go the other way.
I'm going to be in front of the party with them between me and the basilisk. I don't want to be a statue for eternity.
Okay, you're back at the T intersection. What do you folks want to do?
I want to go the other way.
Is anything coming?
You hear some hissing and an occasional growl, the sounds that lizards make. Sort of a squeaky kind of hissing growl or what have you.
But nothing in pursuit?
No, they don't appear to be chasing you.
Oh, thank goodness.
Tell me, if I don't look at a basilisk, can it still turn me to stone?
No, but it does have a very nasty bite, and if you're not watching, it can sneak right up on you.
Let's leave. It's not worth it.
You're right. It's not worth it.
How many things are out there?
Many.
Multitudes.
Let us explore the other passage for possible alternatives.
Let's leave right now. This second. Immediately.
Take out mirrors and shields for protection.
I'm with you.
I'll take out a light gem and proceed quickly and meticulously down the left side of the corridor. I will lead again, hoping, as always, for the best. No, wait. I will not lead, because I have the only means of turning one of us back to flesh.
I can see in the dark.
Fine.
So I'll go first.
Hold it. Here, take my ring. Put it on.
Well done. A magic ring of protection.
Ring of protection.
It will help your saving throws.
Oh, thank you. Oh, that's very nice of you. I'm glad I saved your life.
But I want that ring back before they get me.
The group continues into the cave looking for the statue. Following years down the passage, the party finds dozens of statues, of humans and elves both, mixed with several strange figures. But after closely examining them all, they find one rather impressive-looking character. Their goal! Success! But how are they going to get it home? We'll be right back with the conclusion of our adventure. In our final segment, through much trial and tribulation, Wren, Ears, Ruth, and Ardale managed to escape lizards, basilisks, critters, deep waters, giant bats, and miscalculated turns. When they finally discovered the statue, they figured out a secret code that proved the statue was the correct one. But, my, it's a heavy statue, and oh, my, they haven't quite figured out how to get the thing back home, so that they can be released from their debts to the gentleman responsible for this adventure. Let's see what's going on.
It's going to be near impossible to get this bulky statue down the mountain.
Yeah, I don't remember my shrink spell.
Dungeon Master, while those guys are doing whatever they're going to do, I'm going to step out to the mouth of the cave and look for that guy in the peaked hat I thought was following us. This would be a lousy time for trouble, so I'd better be ready.
Good thinking, Ardale. Ready with a scroll, Wren?
Do it. Make him flesh and blood.
No.
Come on, Wren. You can make him flesh. Only you can do it.
Okay, I'm going to make this dude flesh, but I want something for it later on. I take out my gnarled parched metal scroll. It says turning stone into flesh in 3 easy lessons. Read the magic words directed at this statue. Smifudel fudel bardak me next hate un shadag dur Henry Slats me gunster.
As you're reading this ancient inscription, the very letters on the scroll start to writhe and glow, and you start casting the arcane, powerful spell of turning stone into flesh once again. The ranger, keeping a lookout here in the cave, watches the magical activity with an unpracticed eye, but also sees someone approaching up the hill and warns everyone.
There's a guy down there in a peaked hat watching us.
A peaked hat? I saw him in town. He must have followed us here. Oh, I don't like this a bit. My sling is coming out.
I have my bow ready.
Shoot the beggar.
Oh, wait. Ren, just continue with your scroll spell.
Yeah, I'm almost done. I hope.
The figure climbing the hill sees you and stops. He glares at you as you're watching him and starts to rise up in the air.
Into the air? Just a moment here.
Ren, you continue casting the scroll spell with great worry because you know that it's a very powerful spell. There's a chance you'll really mess it up trying to do this.
How far away is this rising figure? Is he within range of my magic?
It's only about 40 or 50 yards.
I'm slinging, getting the sling going around, ready to release the bullet at any moment.
How far is he?
40 yards, it seems. He's easily shootable with a bow.
Are you ready to start your spell, Ruth?
Let us commence.
And you, Ren, successfully finish casting this magical scroll spell to turn the statue back to flesh as the cleric starts casting her spell against the intruder with a peaked hat.
I'll put this vile miscreant under the thrall of my deity.
The thief readies his sling,
But he can't see me. I'm in the cave entrance.
and the ranger readies a bow.
Yes, indeed.
As the elf Ren finishes the scroll spell, he stands back looking at the statue, which magically becomes surrounded by little dancing lights. Suddenly, there before you is this apparently half-elven figure, wearing no armor, but wearing strips of leather on his wrists.
Oh, bracers of defense.
With a beard and so forth. He's a very serious-looking character who says, "Halt! My goodness, who are you? And where's Quincy?" Quincy, of course, signed the note. He's the assistant mayor.
Yes, we remember all too well.
Well, I think this guy's awfully cute.
What's going on?
Thunderball.
Ruth, are you aiming your magic at the guy with the peaked hat who keeps
Indeed.
flying up? Oh, Ruth, he continues rising up in the air. His hands are moving as if to cast a spell.
Friends, we've got trouble. I point and cast another spell.
Which is?
Charm person.
Ruth, your spell is?
Hold person.
This guy, who is just a statue, says, "What's going on?" He sees a spell casting going on here, there, and everywhere, and then he starts spell casting and pulls something from his belt.
Ears, use your arrow, quickly.
You shoot an arrow at the intruder ears, and it heads right for him, but suddenly bounces off something in midair in front of him, which seems to magically protect him.
Protection from missiles.
And your slingshot, Ardale, likewise seems to be magically deflected without ever touching him.
How close is he now?
He's 40, 50 yards away?
He's about 40 yards.
I know what I'm going to do. Instead of my bullet, I'm going to sling my ink bottle at that invisible shield. It will, of course, break. Interesting, huh?
So you're throwing an ink bottle. However, before you do that, this strange gentleman who was the statue apparently finishes his spell and throws a small ball straight at the intruder in the peaked hat.
Did I finish mine before? The 3rd level spell mine was.
I think you'll get yours off right after this.
Okay, fine.
Suddenly, there's an explosion as the figure in midair is surrounded by a ball of fire that just completely obscures your view of it. You finish your charm spell, Ren, and cast it at the rather toasted-looking character there floating in midair. However, it doesn't appear to have any effect, except to scare him, or maybe the fireball did that. But in any event, he turns and starts heading off away from all of you, flying away in the air. That was a strange character.
Do I have enough time to get an arrow shot at him?
After casting his magical spell, this previous statue says, "I don't think we need to worry about him, but he'll be back someday."
Can I shoot an arrow?
You can shoot an arrow if you wish.
We had heard about your fate, sorry one. and we came to save you, and we'll take you back.
I'll show him the note.
See this ring?
Yes, yes. That's Quincy's ring.
Apparently, the assistant mayor needs your help.
Oh, he's assistant mayor now, huh? Well, indeed, let's head back to town post-haste.
Indeed. You wouldn't be leaving anything behind. I mean, I'll help you carry your treasure.
He chuckles a bit and says, Indeed, I know many persuasive thieves. What did you folks do to rescue me? And you tell him about how he was a statue hidden away underneath many larger ones in a very dangerous lair of basilisks. And he shudders at the very prospect and says, Well, then, how long have I been petrified? You tell him that it's been about 2 or 3 years, according to what the assistant mayor said. And he says, dear me, yes, well, definitely we'll have to head back to town. So your mission is completed and sure to be square, at least with the assistant mayor.
We return post-haste to our horses, and from thence to the town to rip up those little pieces of paper that the assistant mayor proffers to us.
And you gleefully cancel your indebtedness to the assistant mayor.
And there is no reward?
No, as a matter of fact, the person you rescued turns out to be a former high-level fighter who had changed to magic using as a profession prior to being turned into stone.
I knew he was cute and clever.
And he rewards you fairly handsomely, giving each of you a 1,500 gold piece reward.
I just might make a play for him.
Oh, Ears, how like you.
Here's he'll probably go out to dinner with you, perhaps in another adventure. And so another difficult task, but interesting adventure nonetheless, is over with.
I'm going back to the inn, now that I have some money to spend. There's good food to eat and beer to drink.
I'm returning to my sanctuary and donate some of my money to our good church. There are poor in town who need food and drink.
Wren, of course, is still grumbling about having to use up that marvelous scroll.
Grumbling forever and ever.
And you all relax and wait for more adventures to come your way.
Sure.
We certainly hope you've enjoyed our episode of the Advanced Dungeons & Dragons Adventure. My. As you can well imagine, anything and everything happens in the world of Greyhawk. Join us next time for another story led by our Dungeon Master.
Cast for this adventure included Ron McAdam as Morley, Mary Skoll as Ears, Robert Jones as Wren, Linda Kimbrough as Ruth, Jim Parks as Ardale, and myself, Reed Farrell, as Dungeon Master.
Throughout the weeks to come, you'll meet new characters, in addition to those who return now and then. Until next time, ta-ta.